It's Free Agent Friday, and the Stars are in search of a top 4 right-handed defenseman. So let's find one on this year's class of unrestricted free agent blue liners.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Welcome to Free Agent Friday on today's episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Now, we're always looking for that very elusive top 4 right-handed defenseman to bring to the Lone Star State, and I have a few options the Stars could go after this offseason. Also, some cheaper, younger options with upside, plus cheaper, older options. Some of those grizzled vets the Stars could potentially be interested in as well. Now, in theory, the Stars are going to have to make some moves in order to open up some cap space to bring any of these players in, because they do have 8 defensemen under contract, but we're not really worried about that right now. Let's just talk about the names that are out there on today's episode, which is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, redeem code LOCKED, ONNHL. That's Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Now, the first group we're looking at today, some of those top 4 defensemen. Most of these guys are right shot, but I threw a couple of lefties in there as well. Now, the number one name we're going to take off the board, it is Aaron Ekblad. Yes, you've heard this name already quite a bit this offseason. The 30-year-old defenseman from the Florida Panthers has now won back-to-back Stanley Cups. And I think this is the exact archetype the Stars are looking for in a defenseman. Big, physical, plays with an edge, some nastiness. 6'4", 220 pounds. Look at the way Florida's blue line was built. Even look at the way Edmonton's was built. Tall, physical, heavy defenders that also have offensive upside, or at least the offensive skill to move the puck. We're looking for puck movers, right, Stars fans? Aaron Ekblad would suffice. Now, I think the biggest question with him, the biggest question mark he raises is the money. His contract projection, $7.8 million. Now, he would like to re-sign in Florida, but he's going to have to take a bit of a discount. So are you able to get him at a good enough term, maybe 4 years at 30 years of age and somewhere around the $8 million range? Is there going to be a team out there that is going to throw him all the money? We do not know. But when you look at Ekblad, he's a really solid defenseman. I threw up this graph from The Athletic here for those of you watching on YouTube. His plus offensive rating is plus 6.1. His plus defensive rating plus 0.1. And it says here on The Athletic, to go along with this graph, his absolute peak was in 21-22, was a monster in every zone, fully realizing the potential he showed as a top pick in 2014. Now, it says here, a great defenseman, sure, but not a bona fide number one. Well, the Stars aren't going to need him to be a bona fide number one. They have one in Miro Heiskanen. And frankly, they sort of have a 1B situation with Thomas Harley. He could play alongside one of those players and absolutely thrive. It also brings up, how is he going to age as he gets into his 30s? And it mentions some comps here that, well, if you look at players like Jake Muzzin and Matthias Ekholm, that actually fares on his side a bit. Those are 2 defensemen that really even hit their stride in their 30s. It also says he's a poor man's Alex Pietrangelo, probably the most fitting comp, though with less offense and more nastiness. And that's really what the Stars need. But he also has the ability to play with talented forwards up front, move the puck in his own zone. We've seen that along with the Florida Panthers. 33 points in 56 games this past year. His career high was 57 points in 61 games back in 21-22, which was his absolute peak. Now, Stars aren't needing Aaron Ekblad to be a bona fide number one, right? They just need him to complement a player like Thomas Harley or even Miro Heiskanen. And I think he could do that well and bring that physical nastiness that the Stars really, really need. They just need to get heavier on the back end. They have a lot of guys, but they need some value. They need some impact. And I think Aaron Ekblad could provide that. Now, again, what is the contract going to look like? I think that's the biggest question when it comes to Aaron Ekblad, but some really interesting stuff when you look at Ekblad and what he could potentially bring to the Dallas Stars. So that's the first name I wanted to throw out there that the Stars could be potentially interested in. Now, another top 4 defenseman, this could be a bit cheaper because he's starting to find his stride. He broke out this past season in Columbus, and that is Dante Fabbro. Now, this is not the archetype I would say the Stars are looking for. 6 foot, 190 pounds, so he is a bit smaller. So you have to take that into consideration when signing a guy like Fabbro. How is he going to thrive, or how is he going to fit in playoff hockey? When we all know it gets heavier, gets more physical, the ice rink shrinks, and you have to make plays quicker. But we all know he's got good offensive skill set. 26 points in 62 games this past season was a career high. He also had 9 goals with the Blue Jackets. He's also had time playing with superstar defensemen. He played alongside Roman Josi for a large chunk of his time in Nashville. So he understands the role of playing alongside, which is the number 1 defenseman, and really not being worried about being overshadowed. But it goes into some more numbers and some more process behind some of those minutes and the discrepancy of playing alongside Josi. Does that help him or not? Well, they really feel like, no, Fabbro's a good defender. It's not just because he was playing alongside Zach Werenski or playing alongside Josi as well. His defensive rating plus 2.0. His offensive rating was plus 0.7. Now, his contract projection is $4.5 million. And it mentions here that he could be a defensive stud, a late blooming defensive stud at a price of a number 4, which could be a huge win. Fabbro's production, play driving usage, and ratings all line up closely with where Mackenzie Weegar was before a breakout. It's possible Fabbro, a 2016 first-round pick, charts a similar course. Now, we all know Mackenzie Weegar has been rather intriguing over the last few years as a potential trade deadline pickup, and they think Fabbro has the potential to maybe elevate his play and really solidify himself next season. And you could get him at a bit of a lower price. That's what makes Fabbro really intriguing. And he's 27 years of age, so he's going to be looking for some term. And again, that could be a problem for the Dallas Stars. But at this point, a lot of it's going to be a problem. But if you want to go out and get players, the Stars can make it happen. We saw that with Mikko Rantanen at the trade deadline, someone I thought the Stars in their wildest dreams would not be able to go and get. But you're able to do that if you're able to make some moves, and it's going to have to be via trades, open up some cap space, and they can potentially go after somebody like Dante Fabbro, which it says here, it's probably fair to suggest Fabbro can be a capable sidekick to a star. That's no small feat, and he's proven that next to 2 of the game's best. While some may be tempted to attribute 100% of the credit at the Star, I don't think it's quite that simple. And it talks about how he's really, really worth every bit of his size and what he can bring. But you have to, of course, be cautious with the playoff environment. How is he going to thrive there? He does not have a ton of playoff, success. When you look at some of his numbers, he has played a handful of games, about a half dozen or so, or I should say about a dozen or so with the Nashville Predators. But somebody that could be breaking out, you could get for a bit cheaper. So Aaron Ekblad, Dante Fabbro, some top 4 right shot defensemen that the Stars could be and should be interested in, I believe, this offseason. Ekblad, I think, is sort of the shining star of this class in general. I think the Athletic had him in the top 5, maybe even top 3 of just UFAs in general, despite position and all that. But Ekblad, of course, could be tough, but potentially, if the Stars are able to move some money around, he could be a really, really nice fit. And I think this is the prototypical defenseman you're looking for. 6'4", 220. Stars need bigger size. They need physicality, and they need guys that can move the puck as well in that package, which is hard to find, and sometimes you have to pay a premium for. But those are a couple options I wanted to throw your way. Let me know if there's others out there you would be intrigued about as well. Now, let's jump into some of the cheaper, younger options with some upside that could maybe find their game that haven't yet, with a few former clubs that could find it in Dallas and get them at a very, very good value. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with your friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming MLB game. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKED OWN NHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. So a few names you've potentially seen thrown out there on Twitter and other social media platforms that the Stars could go after this offseason at a cheaper rate. This would be a deal, some younger players with some upside that are not going to just jump into your top four, maybe never jump into your top four, but could be your sixth, maybe fifth defenseman if all things go well at the end of the day. So a pair of players I want to throw out at you are Nick Perbix and Henri Jokiharju. I'll start with Nick Perbix, 27 years of age. He's a right shot defenseman, 6'4", 205. So he's a big boy, but he doesn't play a physical heavy game. I had the pleasure to watch Nick Perbix in college at St. Cloud State. So there is a little bias here. I love Perbix. I want to see him do well. I would love to see him in Victory Green. Now, he's played in Tampa throughout his career, and he's played with some very good defensemen. He played the majority of the season with Victor Hedman this past year and had 19 points and 6 goals in 74 games. And I think that's where he can really improve and continue to get better at is his offensive game. And it mentions here in the Athletic article when it comes to Nick Perbix, I'll also flash up his graph here on YouTube, and you can look at his rating and where he projects next season. But 27 years of age, offensive rating minus 1.0, defensive rating of minus 2.2. And that's where he really needs to improve on. That's where he has to get better at if he wants to move up in the lineup, is his defensive ability. And as I've thought about it a bit more, he kind of reminds me of Thomas Harley a bit, just his archetype, like he's kind of tall, lanky, and you can see the offensive skill. And whereas Thomas Harley had to learn how to be a better defenseman, I think Perbix as a defender has an area to improve there. And they had some really interesting stuff on Perbix in this Athletic article I wanted to get to as well. And it says, there's nothing special about Perbix based on data, but every stat looks exactly like you'd expect from a third pair defenseman. But it says, it looks like he has all the tools. He just needs to put it together. His tracking work is really good. He's looked excellent with the puck. He created offense. He rushed up the ice. He broke the puck out. He retrieved pucks, and he did it fairly well. Well, I think that's what the Stars are looking for, a defenseman that can retrieve pucks, break out the puck well, and he can play off the rush a bit. But now it's about his defense, where he has to improve there. Otherwise, he has to be sheltered, and that's a reason why he can't be trusted further up the lineup. So Perbix has an opportunity to improve a bit on his defensive game, but as it says here, it looks like he has all the tools. He just has to put it together, and he's fairly young. I mean, he's played 3 full seasons with the Tampa Bay Lightning, but that's still not a ton of games, right? I think that's less than 200 if you add them all together. I can do it right now on my handy dandy calculator. He's played 220, so he's played above 220. There's a reason I took one math class in college, as you can see. I hope Nick took a bit more at St. Cloud State so he could do basic math. But his contract projection, $2.6 million. So this is really kind of a sweet spot for Dallas in some ways. If they're not able to work out some trades for guys like Lyubushkin or Dumba. And even then, they're probably going to have to work out a trade if they wanted to grab a guy like Perbix. But this is a younger, cheaper option with potential upside the Stars could go after. Now, the second name we mentioned, Henri Jokiharju. Well, this just makes a lot of sense. Well, number one, he's Finnish. That certainly helps. And the Stars love their Finns. He's a right shot defenseman, 6 foot, 201 pounds. He's played in Buffalo, of course, for a long stretch of his career. And we all know at this point, the Buffalo Sabres have kind of been a farm team for a lot of other teams in the NHL. They just made quite a big trade as well. But Jokiharju, could he be somebody that goes somewhere else and finds his game? Very young for a free agent, has pedigree, and for the first season of his career had an above average on ice numbers relative to his teammates. It says Jokiharju's puck skills are limited, but it's possible he ages to be a passable defender, at the very least serviceable lower in the lineup. And again, this is what you're looking at, a kind of a sixth defenseman, so to speak. His offensive rating -2.4. Defensive rating -0.1. He's a bit steeper of a price tag, maybe because he is a bit younger, and he's played some more minutes. He's shown that he can play a bit higher in the lineup, albeit with the Sabres. But his projection, $3.6 million. So perhaps it's something that teams are willing to bet on. I mean, the Stars are willing to bet on Matt Dumba and Ilya Lyubushkin. They could potentially want to bet on a younger Finn like Henri Jokiharju. With the Bruins this past season, had 4 points in 18 games. Of course, he was traded, so he didn't play the majority of the season in Boston, but played a heavy role in Buffalo for a few years, and could potentially be on the radar of the Dallas Stars, who seem to have everybody on their radar if you scroll through Twitter throughout the day. The Stars are just Brad Marchand we're hearing now. I think this could be a really fun offseason for the Dallas Stars. But Jokiharju and Perbix, a couple of those younger, cheaper options that the Stars could be interested in. If I'd take my pick, I go with Perbix here. Just think there's more upside, and he still has that size at 6'4". Again, he doesn't play an overly physical game, but I think could be a potential partner for even a guy like Liam Bichsel if you needed. I think they would be kind of, a big pairing. Bichsel kind of brings the bite and nastiness, and Perbix is a guy that likes to get up on the rush, can move the puck out, and could be interesting as a couple of young D-men, couple young rear guards there. Jokiharju, I'm not very high on, but out of some of the cheaper options, young guys out there, I think he could be interesting if you wanted to take a flyer on just to see if he can improve. And we all know that the Stars' strong Finnish connection, maybe that could help a player, allow him to be more comfortable and suit him here in Dallas as well. So there are some potential values on the blue line the Stars could be looking for into next season. I know Perbix has been thrown out there quite a bit. And again, all bias aside, would love to, or I guess not bias aside, I want him. I want him in Victory Green. Always nice to see the Huskies doing well. Okay, let's switch over to some grizzled vets here on Free Agent Friday. Sometimes you need those guys in their mid to early 30s to kind of step in and maybe find something again that they had earlier in their career. And there are a couple of names I have, and one that just did it in the Stanley Cup final just a few weeks ago. So we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning for a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you can also build wealth. Have you ever looked at your spending and been surprised by how fast it adds up when you're going out? You're spending money on entertainment, maybe purchasing food to be delivered to you. That's where Monarch Money can come in and help you out. It helps you budget smarter, and you realize, okay, I can cut back here. I've been spending a bit too much in this area. Let me cut back, and you can start building that savings that you want, that you've always wanted to go on a big trip with you, maybe your partner. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Grizzled vets. Every team needs them. Stars already have plenty, but you always have to keep an eye out for some others that you could potentially bring in and actually make a significant impact. Maybe not like the ones Lyubushkin and Dumba made this playoffs, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So a couple of names I wanted to throw at you here today, and we're going to start with Nate Schmidt. Nate Schmidt currently just won a Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers, and he looked very, very impressive, especially in the postseason. Not someone that played a ton of minutes, but he played in 80 games this past season with the Florida Panthers. These are the guys you don't really hear about a lot until you start to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you're like, that guy is playing amazing. And at $800,000, yes, these are the type of contracts that the Florida Panthers signed that helped them win Stanley Cups. It's not all about the tax-free state that it has become, really popular these days. No, it's because they find value in contracts. $800,000 for Nate Schmidt, who just had an incredible playoff run where he put up 3 goals, 9 assists, and 12 points in 23 games. Nate Schmidt, 34 years of age, a defenseman that just looked really, really strong with the Panthers. And it says with the Canucks, Schmidt was still used as a shutdown defenseman, getting some of the absolute toughest minutes in the league in the 95th percentile. With the Jets last season and the Panthers this season, his usage has been closer to the 10th to 15th percentile. No wonder he's looked a lot more efficient. Where does that leave the soon-to-be 34-year-old? Probably in the number 4 or 5 range, a defender who can crush shelter minutes and may even be able to slide into a second pair in a pinch. As long as Schmidt isn't getting big, tough minutes, he can be an effective asset. Now, so sort of the same question we had with Cody Ceci, Matt Dumba, Lyubushkin. If they're going to be playing these tough minutes, they're probably not going to thrive. Now, Lyubushkin, I thought, did a rather decent job of that for a large chunk of the season, but as the minutes started to pile up, there was a bit of a drop-off there. Cody Ceci, Matt Dumba, I think it's pretty obvious what went wrong there. But Schmidt, pretty decent defender. He's on the smaller side, 6 foot, 196 pounds, but he does play a more physical game at his size. And again, this is a guy that can potentially get a bit of a pay raise now after what he did. It says his contract projection is $3 million. So maybe on a one-year deal somewhere that could be enticing. I don't know if it's going to be here in Dallas, but those are the type of values you have to find. $800,000 was his cap hit last season. I know I've said it already 3 or 4 times, but that's why the Florida Panthers are doing what they're doing, not because they live in a tax-free state. Nobody cared when they stunk. Brian Dumoulin, the New Jersey Devils, the other grizzled vet, 34 years of age. And I think he has a pretty similar story in some ways to Nate Schmidt. It's been a bit of a roller coaster for him. He was bad in Pittsburgh, great in Seattle, bad again in Anaheim. It says the truth is that there probably wasn't actually that much variation in Dumoulin's ability. It's just that the Kraken were the only team that utilized him properly away from hard matchups. With the projected 3.2 million AAV, the expectation for Dumoulin would be for him to be a number 4 or 5 defender, which is probably fair for what he is today. The only concern lies with age. Can he still be as steady in his mid-30s when he shifts to a lesser role? Now that is going to be the question. Not going to get a ton of offense from a guy like Brian Dumoulin, but he can be a pretty serviceable, reliable defender. Now, Dumoulin stands at 6'4", 214, so he would bring some of that size that the Stars could be interested in as well. And he was traded to New Jersey this past season. And again, like Anaheim, not a great team in general. So can you take a lot of stock in some of those numbers? Maybe not. But could he fill in as a number 5 here in Dallas? I think he absolutely could be. I think if you look at Schmidt and Dumoulin, I think the Stars and Stars fans would love to have players of their capability in those roles, other than, Matt Dumba and Ilya Lyubushkin, who they still have to find a way to try to move off of, which could be very, very difficult. I don't know what the market is for players like that, but these are some guys in their mid-30s that I think still show some value, still can have some impact, whereas, guys like Dumba, just the best years are behind him and doesn't look like he's going to age well into his, mid-30s. Lyubushkin, I may have been a bit harsh on. I really liked Lyubushkin this past year. I just think, again, he's more of your 5th, 6th defenseman than he was your top 4, and he's probably more closely to your 6th guy than where the Stars had him playing. But look, that's what the Stars did. That's what their roster construction was this last year. And it was very, very hard to compete as they got deeper and deeper into the postseason. When you look at teams that have guys that can move the puck, they're big, they play heavy. Stars just don't have that. They didn't have guys that can move the puck as efficiently as some of these other guys maybe on the market, or just other guys, of course, on the Oilers taking on Dallas this past season. Well, there you go. There's a little deep dive into some unrestricted free agents, the defensive class of 2025. And yeah, we're still in search of I guess that white whale that the Stars can go after and just plug into the top 4. But to be fair, like all teams are looking for that as well. It's not just a Stars issue. Those guys are very, very hard to come by. Well, speaking of one of those guys, Noah Dobson just got traded as I'm recording this to the Montreal Canadiens. So the Stars are not going to get him. It looks like a couple of picks and a young forward is going to be given to New York. So it looks like Robo's not going to the Islanders, which we kind of discussed a bit earlier on this offseason. Okay, I was a bit all over the place. These ones, I think, these type of episodes can get me just rambling and just all over the place with the amount of names and information I'm trying to get out there and do a short form. But it's fun as well just to look at some names, see if the Stars can improve this roster, improve this blue line, because, yeah, they have 8 defensemen under contract, but we don't feel any better about the Stars back in right now heading into next season than we did last year, which needs to change if we want to get over that hump, right? If we're trying to get this roster with a new coach coming in to seize the day, so to speak. But that's going to do it for Free Agent Friday. Have a fantastic weekend, Stars fan. Enjoy the sun, enjoy the weather. I know it's extremely hot, but stay cold, stay cool, put on the sunscreen. Anyways, have a great day, Stars fans, and we'll see you on the next episode.